What's up, guys? Welcome to the Wealthy Podcast. My name is Derek.
And I'm Hannah.
What's up?
I almost missed my intro.
Almost.
Wow.
It's okay. It happens.
It's okay. It happens. It's Monday.
If this is your first time tuning in to the Wealthy Podcast, welcome.
Hi. I'm Hannah.
We know that. But if it is your first time, guys, we're glad you're here. Glad you found us, whether that was from a friend or just searching. I think it's going to be a good time.
Always is.
Always is. So what we go over here is a little bit of wealth, a little bit of health, kind of that overall wellness in your life. I myself am in the finance industry. I'm a licensed stockbroker. So I come from that whole world and I try to offer some advice, kind of coming from that, I guess. And basically what we do is we just like to take the problems we see in our jobs and that we work with our clients and bring that to the rest of the world because we see very common trends. So that's what I do from the finance side. But Hannah, what are you bringing to the people and what do you do with your clients?
Well, I'm a multi-certified group fitness instructor. I'm also a personal trainer. But right now I am focusing my life on personal training, growing my online business, and also working part-time at a retail job, which is super fun. But what I bring to my clients is a lot of self-love during their wellness journey. So that being said, like with myself doing personal training, with my clients, it is not only physique based for their goals. When we have our initial consultation, we always talk about some internal goals that they want to see. And we also talk about what they already love about themselves that they can continue to manifest as we improve their health inside and outside. It's not just all about a six-pack and booty goals for me. It is diving a lot deeper and creating a sustainable relationship with wellness and fitness.
Wow. I think it's really cool that you do that because I think so much of the fitness world, well, I mean, we love fitness, both of us. I'm a huge I'm dressed and ready to go to the gym right after this. But I think it's cool that you do that and you focus on the other aspects of your client's life because I think in the fitness world, like I was saying, is that it tries to make itself be the end all be all kind of a thing where, well, if you get in shape, everything in your life will be so much better, almost too much. Well, I think that is true to a degree. Like, yes, like taking care of myself physically has brought major improvements to my life. I think that you can be the most in shape, healthy person in the world, but if you are like emotionally and spiritually a wreck, it's not necessarily going to be happy, right? So I think it's cool that you focus on all aspects of people's lives.
Yeah, I really love just all aspects of wellness. So for me, like at the beginning of my career, I definitely did teach and inspire and influence from the vein of, well, yeah, if you're fit and you love your body, everything else is going to be better. But then I myself got to a body that I should have loved and a physique that was maybe a goal for a lot of other people. And I still didn't love myself. And I noticed a lot of imbalances in my wellness. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think it's super important to talk on all of it. You brought up interesting keywords though we both did.
I was going to say, what do you think is the most common phrase you hear when people come to you and they're, you have that consultation? What do you just hear every time?
I'm out of shape.
I'm out of shape. I want to get in shape. Right?
Yeah. But I mean, during workouts, that's the excuse. I'm just out of shape.
So do you think you hear it more as the excuse then? Because I've never really thought about that. I hear it all the time as kind of the just statement, right?
Well, yeah, it's a statement until you're in the gym. And then when you can't do something, it's not that you're not conditioned. It's not that you aren't strong. It's not that you can get better. It's I'm out of shape.
I think it's funny that is used and seen as an excuse because like, if you think about it, it's like, that's why you're there. I can't I'm just out of shape. Yeah, we know this. This is why you're here. Keep going. Like I don't know why people even say it.
Well, I like to think of it almost as like if you were going to go take a beginner pottery class on a wheel, no one is going to expect you to be able to throw pottery and like create this beautiful bowl and that's like thin and evenly like
right.
pulled, whatever the terminology is. I obviously haven't taken it from
and if you make something bad and the instructor walks by, you're like, oh no, it's my first time. They're not going to be like, I don't care.
Girl,
they're gonna
you signed up for the beginner one. I got you.
Yeah,
like if you went to the advanced ones. Yeah. But on one-on-one personal training, I know where you're at before you even tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm pleasantly surprised, but most of the time I'm pretty on point with where I see and assess people to be at.
Yeah.
And I'm there to challenge people. So it's like, yeah, if you're feeling not strong, that's why you're here.
That'll be on the list of things to work on. Mm-hmm. So what do you think it even means though? Like the phrase I'm out of shape? Because I think obviously that might be a dumb question. Some people could be thinking, oh my gosh, like, are they really going to ask what it means to be out of shape? Yes, we know it means that you aren't meeting the physical standards to do whatever you're trying to do. But I mean, that could be so different for every other person and every body out there.
Yeah. And I think it's also multifaceted that like subconsciously, I think if people looked the way they wanted to when they were doing difficult physical things, they wouldn't blame it on being out of shape.
I could see that.
You know, like no one, if they have a 6-pack, and I mean, granted, the people who have a 6-pack probably are a little bit more like, I would assume they're a little bit more mind, body in tune, but maybe not.
I mean, think about the extremely skinny guys out there, right? Like, nothing against you, but you just have such low body fat percentage naturally that
like the 14-year-old boys that are always doing mirror pics and you're like, stop.
It's easier for your abs to pop. So maybe you,
because you're
I'm in shape. But then
anyways, yes. So I think it's less of an excuse for people who have already found the physique that they're looking for. And for everyone else, I think it's I do think it's an excuse that people use, especially when they're in the gym. I think it comes from not subconsciously not looking the way they want to, and then equating that to where they're not performing up to either mine or their own expectations.
So do you think in their mind, well, if I looked the way I wanted to look, I would be in the shape I needed to be in?
Yeah. Okay. So I think shape is all about looks and less about function.
And is that good or bad?
Or I think it's both. Okay. Like it makes sense because shape is like when you're on any document forming service on your laptop, you want to insert a shape. It's going to be round, triangle, square, rectangle, trapezoid, whatever. It's a shape, you know? So bodies have different shapes. We have, like you can go to Pinterest and type in body shapes, which please don't use Pinterest as a reference guide for anything, you guys. Like, don't. But there are luckily some, like that's not something that can lead you astray just looking up body types. Better yet, Google it. Because no one's going to write some BS workout to go for it. That's for your body. My gosh, you guys, there's nothing. Okay. So there are body shapes. And I think that's what some people refer to as I'm out of shape. And that is they're not in the physical shape that they want to be in. They're not their body doesn't look the way they want it to.
But let me jump in real quick though. Yeah. So we're talking about shapes because coming from more of the bodybuilder, lifting type thing that I come from, that's just what I grew up with and around. So that's what I'm more familiar with. I was taught, and aren't there, when you say body shapes, I feel like that so far we've been talking about like, yeah, you might have more of a circle body, triangle body, things like that. But aren't there actual like scientific names for like body types? Like the ones I'm familiar with, and I'm sure there are more, but like ectomorph, mesomorph, and
endomorph. Yeah.
Endomorph, right.
So there are the 3 different body types. One's a triangle, one's a square, and one is like it looks like an hourglass, like a 6-pointed object.
And are those the shapes of what I was just saying, or are those different?
Those are the same. So they're representation. You do it from your shoulders to your pubic bone. Like as the access point, unless your hips are wider, like level with your shoulders, then that's when you start seeing the squares or the hourglass.
Yeah, so you might not have the tiny waist because like your hips are wide, so naturally your waist is going to have less of an inner curve type thing.
Yeah. So for me, like I am I can't remember what body type is associated with it, but my body type is an hourglass. Like my shoulders and my hips are the same width, but then my waist is depending on how in shape I am.
Yeah, but that's the point though, right? If you are more in that shape.
Yeah, depending on what I'm eating and when, like how often I'm going to the gym and how intense my workouts are, my ratios are really, really small, that my hips are a lot bigger than my waist.
Right.
Where like looking at you, I see you as more of a triangle or a square. When you're more out of shape, you are more of a square than when you're really working on your physique, and see that more of a triangle appearance in you.
Yeah, for sure. I got no hips.
Yeah. And that being mentioned, did we both have body types that kind of shifted? Like if I'm out of shape, in quotes, I'm more of a square. Because if my waist isn't smaller than my hips and shoulders, that would create a rectangle shape for me, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So we both can fluctuate between shapes.
Right. And I think that it's when you're thinking about whether or not you're in shape, out of shape, you have to recognize what you are naturally, right? Like you need to know, okay, this is just what I am. It's the kind of thing that's the genetic part of it. You can't change. Some people are naturally just like for guys, or girls, whoever, you're the big, broad shoulder, broad back, small hipped. That's the upside down triangle kind of classic bodybuilder physique. Or yeah, you might be the hourglass with the big hips, the little waist, and that might just be your natural shape that your genetics are there to be. But like you're saying, you could be out of shape. And I think one point I want to just throw in real quick is that it's when you're out of shape, like physically, right? Your actual health is out of shape that you lose the literal shape, right? I don't want people to think we were only talking about triangles and squares and I'm out of my shape. It's like, no, we know that we're kind of going beyond that yes, when you are out of shape with your physical performance and your diet and all of that, it literally makes your body out of its genetic shape. So like for me, the upside down triangle thing, which I think I'm a little bit more naturally that, maybe not super hard, but I do have small hips and normal shoulders. When I get out of shape, like you said, my bottom of the triangle widens out and almost becomes a flat bottom triangle or more like a rectangle shape.
Yeah. And there are a lot of different this whole theory and this whole science is also drawn, I believe, from a really, really, really old body science from India and the Eastern world. It's called Ayurveda. I'm sure a lot of other people have heard of it. But they're actually the ones who talked about body types and body shapes. And they kind of it's really interesting, and it's a really interesting science. I mean, just because it's old doesn't mean it's science. There are a lot of things I really like about it, and there's a couple things that I don't really love about it. But
sure.
Like for body types, they are called doshas for Ayurveda. So they have Vata, Pitta, and Kapha or Kapha, because in English a PH makes a F sound. So I think, but they all have a little bit of different, like, I know one is like, enjoy a sedentary lifestyle, and just enjoy short, slow walks. Like they kind of give you a prescription of how you should live your lifestyle and your wellness, what foods you should eat, what type of activities you should do, like religious practices that would be good for you.
So let me ask you this then. So in that kind of prescription of lifestyle, does the literal shape of that person's body match that? Like if it says be more sedentary, light walks, that sounds very relaxed. That person, I imagine, maybe you're not going to be, obese or anything by any means, but maybe you're not going to be the chiseled skinny person.
Yes and no. So and you can Google a dosha test and see what dosha you are. But I've done this myself. In a dosha test, or at least the really credible one I took, they asked you both physical, emotional, mental, spiritual questions. Like they asked questions all around the board for wellness. So it wasn't just like, what's your body composition? What is so it's really interesting. So
it's almost like the Myers-Briggs for wellness. because the Myers-Briggs is the famous personality test. It
Kind
tells
of.
you you're the leader, world conqueror type, or you're the analytical whatever type.
Kind
It's just-
of.
Yeah, no, I'm
Yeah.
saying it almost sounds like the very, very early type of that type, kind
Yeah.
of a thing. That's cool.
Yeah.
I never would have thought really that.
But I mean, I'm
would
sure
go
the
back that far.
tests have just come out in the last 20 years. Maybe,
But
like
the
a written
idea
test.
though of classifying
Right.
people based off of their mentalities, maybe
Yeah,
some little bit of body types. I don't know. It's just interesting
Yeah.
to me that
the
far
Indian
back.
culture is not shy of classifying people.
I
though.
know. I know they've got some history there, but
But yeah, no, I think it's really cool though, just because it was more wellness based. Like it tried
Yeah,
to
that's
cover and give you a recipe that would be ideal for you, which is really cool and like what everyone is seeking. So, hey, I have a lot of people in my life who have gone like hardcore Ayurvedic and they live the lifestyle of their dosha, and you can fluctuate. I fluctuate between one and I fluctuate between two,
Oh, really?
Yeah. So you can kind of have a combination.
do you think that's because it is less on the physical body and more on the spiritual inner wellness?
Yeah. So I actually had a lot of physical qualities of one dosha,
Mhm.
but then a lot of the like dietary needs of another dosha.
Now, would that same ability of like moving and merging, do you think apply to our modern version of this?
Yeah. Yeah. Like the ectomorph. I can't remember what that is called. Like that. What it's called. I think it's just like
Like body compositions or something?
no, body composition is completely different, unfortunately.
Well, this is
I
why
mean,
you're
I
on the
guess-
show, dude.
No, well, I guess it could be body composition. We'll just say body shape though, because
Okay,
it all
sure.
refers to shapes. And I just Googled a couple more, and there are so many more than just a rectangle, a circle, a triangle, and a trapezoid. Like there are a ton. So
But what do you think about that? Because this
I
is,
think it's kind of making cookie cutters to fit the cookies instead of
yeah.
which that's okay. Like I don't think that there needs to be a science
Mhm.
to say this is what you are.
Right.
Like unless it's saying like, well then yeah, maybe try this and this and this. If you're stuck with your workouts and you've hit a plateau, this is how you can get over that. I
Mhm.
think that would be wonderful. And some people do
Yeah.
supply that based off of the science. But if it's just trying to label you and put you in a box, I'm not a fan of that.
I get that, but at the same time, I have a little bit of a bone to pick with that kind of mentality, though, because I think this goes hand in hand with the thing that is so huge right now, the live your best life.
I'm just living my best life.
Because, like, think about it. Well, what is your best life? And let's be honest, and let's be brutally honest about
when
it.
I look good and feel good.
Okay, but to look good, it takes work.
Yeah.
And feeling truly good takes work. I hate this whole best life thing being this excuse to do whatever the hell I want to do.
Yeah.
I hate they're living their best life. No, they're being an idiot or they're being an asshole or they're being selfish. Like doing whatever you
Or
feel
you're
like
just
doing
being-
isn't living your best life. That's just living, to me, it's living poorly, honestly. It's living lazily.
Yeah, I mean, that can kind of go back to our passive aggressive or passive active
Yeah.
lifestyles.
But I think there's a way to
Some
be
people-
honest about it.
Totally, yeah. But if it's a passive person and they're not doing anything, maybe to them they are living their best lives.
Right. And I think,
But
I don't want to
for-
beat the dead horse
No,
that
no,
we
but-
went over in that episode of
But are
very
you,
few people are truly passive. The rest of you are all probably just lazy,
Yeah.
honestly.
no,
You're
and
using it as an excuse.
but yeah, and this podcast is about our opinions. So
Yeah, for sure. And they're going to be different. And
Totally.
someone right now could be like, this guy's such a dick. And it's like, yeah, maybe. But you know what? Opinions, everyone's got one.
yeah, and you're not wrong. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. You're not a dick. But yeah, so I also think that this is also kind of hurting the way the uneducation of these body types and body shapes is going about, just because you can find it anywhere. You can Google body shape chart and get something about it. You can get it in relation to fruit. They will do apple, pear, banana. Let's see what other fruits.
Watermelon.
Tangerine.
I mean,
Let's
I feel like
see.
there's only so many fruit shapes out there.
And then there's randomly a newspaper and okay, this is not accurate, you guys. And the banana is straight up and down. Okay, this is ridiculous.
This is what I would say though about.
They used a celery stick as one of the.
Some people do. The super tall, skinny, just like they've been stretched out.
Yeah.
Whatever. My take on it though, with this whole thing. No, what?
I was talking.
Okay.
I wasn't just going off on some meaningless tangent.
Okay, go ahead.
I think it's hard because it's hurting people's self-esteem because of uneducation. You know, and just saying, just because you have an idea, like obviously if you look at a chart, you see the little stick figures or the figures drawn with their little 6-pack or their V's or whatever it might be. And you might just look like the softer version of that or a little bit different version of that, same shape. But then you're like, oh, I just really want to be this, but I'm not that. You know, it can lead to just these body issues we have, body confidence, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it's just really interesting that can kind of create this like dysmorphic association with what we look like and what we can actually do to get the body we want and the body we feel we deserve. I've talked to a lot of people that their biggest issue with being the weight that they are is that they don't feel like they're that weight. They don't associate themselves with the fat that they carry. They're like, I'm not this person. Like I am not meant to be 200 pounds. Like my personality, my behaviors, like I want to be able to jump on a trampoline and have fun, you know, and go on all the roller coaster rides and all the little things that me as a skinny person, I don't know, but, it's really interesting how the physical body can make or break the way you feel on the inside. You know, and you like, sure. And I've been there too. Like I have cried to you how many times of just like, I don't feel right. Like not just like hormonally or chemically, but it's like, I don't feel like my body represents who I am. And it's a shame that people don't question what they can do to make it better and that they just stop trying after one thing. You know, if they did try kickboxing 8 years ago and they didn't like it or they had an injury, they stopped there. You know, keep trying.
Well, I think, I can relate to this a lot because I'd say a year and a half ago, I was in that space of, I was going to the gym for an hour and a half every day, every single day and eating fairly clean. You know what I mean? But I was not anywhere near what I thought I should be. I'm like, how am I not in better shape? How do I not look better? You know, because I was still that, I would almost say kind of dad bodish where it's like, okay, like in shape, like obviously go to the gym and stuff. But if I told you like, well, this is what I do, this is how many reps I do, this is how long I'm there, you'd be like, really? Like I didn't look like that. And so I had this exact feeling of, okay, based off what I'm doing, I feel like this is not how I should look. But the point is that just because I was working out at the gym for an hour or 2 hours a day and extra long on Saturday and, like doing all the things that textbook, if like a personal trainer looked at me, they'd be like, I don't know what's like, why? Like maybe try starving yourself. I don't know. You know what I mean? Because it's one of those things that everything was pretty on point, but I wasn't seeing those types of results. And it hasn't been until like probably the last 6 to 8 months that we've really realized that it was just the types of workouts I was doing, the type of eating I was doing. I just kind of had a whole different mindset that didn't match my natural genetically given body type. I was doing a lot more of like heavy lifting, minimal cardio, kind of the frequent meals with super high protein, that kind of stuff, which someone out there is probably like, yeah, that is exactly what you should be doing. That doesn't work for me. My body doesn't respond to that. My body responds to the complete opposite. High intensity, lots of cardio, heavy breathing, sprint type workouts. And I've been seeing good results with that so far. And I feel like I have better workouts.
And I think you've been watching your diet too, and you've been adding protein to pretty much all of your meals. Like in your snacks, you get a little bit of protein. You're still watching like your sustainability of getting all your macronutrients in, right, but you're not supplementing and adding protein to every meal. Cause on it, like, I think you do better when you have like cleaner versions of carbs than you do when you have excess amount of protein.
Right, for sure. And I think like I want to agree with what you're saying though, is that these images or what we can find on the internet with the miseducation of seeing these body types. I remember the first time I saw the graph of endomorph, ectomorph, mesomorph, and I saw, the sketched out, guy bodies. And it's like, to me, I didn't make the connection of it was different body types. To me, it was just not buff, kind of buff, like super buff. And I was like, okay, I want to be the biggest guy. I think his mesomorph. I was like, I don't know. I might be wrong, but whatever the biggest one was, I just saw that because to me, he was bigger muscles, more chiseled. You know what I mean? It just looked, to me, that looked like almost levels, like leveling up. It wasn't different, completely different types.
Yeah.
And that was before we even got married. That was 5-8 years ago. That was kind of at the very beginning of me really getting into lifting and working out, that I had implanted in my mind this idea of, this is the ideal body that I want. And I fought my natural body for 5+ years trying to get that, and just hitting my head against the wall, never getting where I wanted to get because I was fighting what I naturally was. So people got to realize that you may look at these charts and see these things of what is quote unquote in shape, and it may not be your shape naturally. And it's more about finding the best improvement of what you naturally are and making that the best of what you got against, I know we all probably have the idea of what we want. It may not be that. And you just need to learn to be happy with what you naturally can be, and then just be the best of that and play to those strengths instead of constantly fighting against your weaknesses.
Yeah. And I think something too that people don't realize is like the body shape. We'll just talk on the endo, ecto, and mesomorph scale, and it goes ecto is skinny, lean, and usually taller. Then meso is like average to me, like a little bit shorter, not so lean, not so bulky.
Just
and then
the
endo is bulky. And, people can look at this and be like, oh, well, the endomorph person is fluffy, or they're just a linebacker who, they have big bodies. Like they have just, if you want to call them big boned, like, I don't know what it is,
Yeah,
but
there's freight trains.
Yeah, they're heavy and dense.
What was the order? Could I get the order one more time?
Ecto, meso, then endo.
So endo's the big guy.
Endo.
So that's what I always thought I was supposed to be, but I'm really not. Like, I just not geared towards
you're
that.
like, I would say meso, ecto.
Yeah.
You
kind
know?
of in that. Because I am shorter.
You are short, but at the same time, I don't think the height matters to the science portion of it, but it doesn't, like, because if you Google body shape ecto and like get all the charts, I almost said charts, all the
Don't get them. Don't get
all the
all
charts.
The charts.
The endomorph is either represented as like this awesome, like bulky, muscular dude, or a fatty, like someone who is just like soft everywhere, huge butt.
So that's the flip side. That's that you're naturally this shape, but you are out of shape. So you'll still be a big guy or big person. But ideally, if you were in shape physically, you could fit that ideal shape, right? Kind of thing?
mean, I guess, but it's just interesting. And I would dive, if this interests you, I would dive more into the science of it and not just the Google images and create a pattern.
Yeah, definitely.
Just because you don't know how Google works and their algorithm and what images you're seeing when. Like, get a book on it, go to the library, do some research. Just because of the inconsistencies I'm seeing and that I remember seeing in nutrition and all my other classes. You can kind of slide on the scale though too. Like, you can look like an endomorph right now, but then your body type is actually more of a mesomorph, or you love the activities of an ectomorph, but your body type is an endomorph. Like,
I've been in all those places.
Right. Yeah. No, I know.
Yeah.
So like, I always love it when you see, like, one of my favorite things to do, and I didn't do it this year, is go cheer on the people who run the Salt Lake Marathon. Cause I think it's so cool. The people who show up, some people are, they're on their like tour of running, that they are going across the nation and just hitting every marathon because this is what they do. They're sponsored, they're athletes, whatever it is. Some people are just average Joes like you and me that are trying to qualify for Boston, or this is their first marathon, or they're just walking it with a friend, you know, and just
I always
talking
think it'd be
the whole
cool
time.
to do a marathon sometime. So
Absolutely.
that'd be awesome.
So, but I love it when you see the girl who is like 4'9", but she's like an adult. She's just really, really tiny, and she's a little bit thicker. You know, some might call her fat. I call her awesome, whatever it is. But she's doing the thing, and she is running it and loving it.
That's cool.
And I remember when I was working at a bar studio, there were a lot of girls that's like, you run? Like you don't have the body type of a runner though. So
we both did the biggest eye rolls.
We did. Yeah. It was like the most dramatic, like that puppy on Instagram that like rolled its eyes at its owner.
Oh, he's here. He did it too.
Oh yeah. But as much as I love the science behind this, and this is something I want to study a little bit more too, just to see if it jives with me a little bit more after I learn the science of it. But based off of what I remember learning and what I kind of refreshed myself on before this episode, I think it's kind of silly to put yourself in a box. I think, speaking to like your experience and my experiences, if you're doing something because you think that that's what your body type should be doing and it's not working to get you towards your goals, change what you're doing, you know?
Duh.
But no, some people
No,
have
it's
to
true,
hear
though.
it that clearly.
Well, it took me years to figure it out. I just thought I had to do it harder or more. Or
Yeah.
I was looking for
when he was doing 4-hour workouts at the gym, you guys.
I was looking for the answers that would reinforce what I thought I should do. So it was,
that's like,
well, maybe I needed a different bulky workout, or I needed a different you know what I mean? Yeah.
oh, totally.
But all the answers were within the same box of this, and I was unwilling to look at other things that didn't align with what I wanted my goals to be, not what they
Totally.
should have been.
Yeah. And I think that's only serving you and like your mindset even more so, is thinking outside of that original box and maybe pulling inspiration. Because that's the thing, is you haven't dropped heavy lifting altogether at all.
No, I still love it.
But you at the same time haven't. So in strength training, everybody, if you don't know, there is like strength training, and then there is endurance training. And Derek was really focusing for a really, really long time on strength training. So like on gaining bulkiness, gaining strength. You can gain strength with body weight exercises for sure. So don't get me wrong. Don't hear this wrong, that you can only gain strength from lifting heavy things. You get more strength from lifting heavy things. Anyways, but he used to focus on really heavy reps and really heavy weight, very few reps.
Yep.
And that is a totally normal, strength training method. A little bit higher in reps would be like that hypertrophy stage. And then right after that would be like an endurance training method, where you go low in weight, but not like the lowest. Like you're not picking up 3-pound weights and doing 400 reps of bicep curls with 3-pound weights. Like that's ridiculous. I'm sure people who do it look great, like great for you. But yeah, it's higher reps and then like moderate to low weight. And then there's just people who do aerobics and have like 2-pound weights, but can do some awesome stuff. But with that, you have to think about your load, and it's actually like a science of, like Derek, he hasn't changed. So this is where I'm getting with this. I can tell I'm losing you. But Derek hasn't changed the amount of weight he's lifting in his workouts. He is actually lifted. Aren't you lifting more weight per workout now than you were before?
So when I made the first switch initially, no, you're right. But
I haven't talked about the switch yet. So just say yes or no.
Yes. Now from back then, yes, I have increased my poundage, my pounds for each lift.
Yes. Okay. For each lift or for each workout?
Well, what do you mean then?
I'm meaning like when you go to the gym for a workout, not each exercise, not each specific
so total.
lift.
Oh, okay, almost like total work done. measured in pounds.
Yeah,
lifted.
like how you measure your reps.
Yeah. Yes. Vastly increased.
Okay, so where I'm going with this is Derek hasn't changed to the detriment of his weight or reps. He has increased his reps and at least kept his weight lifted the same, if not improved, if not gotten higher and more mass, like weight lifted, right? Because if you lift 100 pounds one time in a muscle gain strength training workout, you lift 100 pounds one time. So switching to Derek's workout, if he were to lift 10 pounds 10 times, that's still 100 pounds.
Yeah, I moved into a volume based.
Yes.
I blah 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 blah. I switched to a volume based method of tracking my workouts and measuring them. So I'm actually multiplying 10 reps, or actually increasing from the normal 10. And I stopped doing the whole kind of 10, 8, 5, pyramiding down or whatever, to just, nope, this is what I do every time. I do 5 sets of everything. Every time I do at least 10 or 20 reps, depending on the weight and the exercise. And I've just like Hannah said, maintained the weight I was doing before. Maybe not 1 rep maxes, but if I was doing 5 to 10 reps prior, I didn't just drop it down because suddenly I was doing more. And it became more about just increasing the volume of the workout. Like Hannah said, the total pounds lifted, the work done, which is the actual definition in the entire workout. So it's helped a ton.
Yeah, I think it's really awesome. And I think it's cool because this is working for your body, but you're also not neglecting that side that really loves to do heavy lifting. Like some days in your workouts, you'll still throw in a really heavy, not 1 rep max exercise, but you'll throw in like a 5 rep max exercise that it's like, I'm going to deadlift as heavy as I can for 5, which is awesome because you're still feeding that beast inside that it's like, I just want to lift really heavy
I still enjoy the workouts and I still kind of get that fix, So yeah, if it's a leg day, I've definitely shifted into a lot more dynamic movement, compound movements, high rep type stuff. But then yes, I'll go and throw on squats or deadlifts or leg presses, and I'll just every set stack the weight more and more and more until I can't anymore. And that's usually like a finisher, just because it's okay, this is for me, and just to shake it up too, because your body's so used to go, sprint, endurance, quick burst type stuff. And then you throw in that slow heavy, and it is such a shock that I think it's a killer combo.
Yeah. And I think that just speaks to that even if you have a defined body type and you're working towards that, you shouldn't ignore your interests as well. You should try to work that into your program. Just because, and this is kind of what I want to end talking about, is sustainable shape. What can you sustain longer? What workouts can you enjoy for a long period of time and get a good habit? What diet can you sustain that you are fueling your body, fueling your workouts, and fueling your lifestyle that is actually serving you instead of just making you feel good as you eat it right then and there. So like a sustainable shape, Derek's, you're more of a lean, high intensity needing body shape. For me, who freaking knows? But no, I've kind of been meaning to say this the whole time, like body shape wise, or, and something I guess we didn't talk about for science is the usage of BMI in fitness. And that's actually really, really, really wrong to do, because BMI is actually the measurement that doctors use to rate your personal risk of obtaining and gaining diseases.
So if I'm starting my fitness journey and I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to weigh myself, maybe get a couple measurements, how tall I am, how round is my belly and my chest and stuff.
I'm borderline obese with how tall I am and how much I weigh.
Because of BMI, how it's calculated.
Because of BMI. So with that, with height and weight, they create this great chart that tells you how, quote unquote, in shape you are based off of numbers. and where I fall because I'm short, but I'm also like dense. And right now I've got a little bit of fluff, but like back at my fighting weight, I was still even borderline obese because I was muscular. Like I ran track. I've got from my belly button down, I probably weigh twice as much as my belly button up just because of how dense my legs and my booty is. So like that was always really hard for me mentally in school, that it was like, I'm creating a diet plan for myself and I'm almost obese. Like I'm on the heavier side of normal, or like I'm riding that line. And I had to look at it this way of saying like, okay, based off of my height and weight, I'm technically at risk for diseases because of the number, and the diseases that come with obesity. But then if you look in a even more important scientific number to go off of is actually your hip to waist ratio. And if you look at that, like I'm winning life. Like I am living my best life. Just because most of the diseases that the BMI chart is charting for, it's your waist circumference is the issue. Is it
because it leads usually to like heart disease kind of things?
Well, I mean, having weight, it's almost like saying muscle weighs more than fat. And like just that generic statement, it's true, but it's not true, So yes, if you have more fluff around your midsection, you may be at risk for more heart disease.
Right.
But even though it wasn't a chronic heart disease, Bob Harper, he was a trainer on The Biggest Loser. Like he is so trim, so cut, had a heart attack, and
that's always the outliers.
Right. But like that happens more times than not, that's like Lance Armstrong got testicular cancer. Like just because you're in shape doesn't mean you're out of the realm of diseases and life catching up to you.
Mm-hmm.
But so just remember that these numbers, these scientific pattern chaser, like the ecto, meso, endo, they can give you guidance, but they shouldn't be your end all be all. Like Derek doesn't Google ectomorph workouts.
I can't even remember the last time I ever looked up any of that stuff. Because I've so just got over the whole fact of someone else tell me what I am into just that. So if anyone ever asks me, oh, what do I do to work out, or what's my diet? I just tell them I do whatever my body likes, whatever my body responds to positively. So yeah, I have a moderate to high protein intake. I try to cut fat. I eat carbs because I need carbs because I do intense, usually long workouts. So I need the fuel.
And his job, his brain has to work. And
yeah. That's
if you are on a low carb diet, if you've ever talked to someone on a low carb diet,
we don't want to because they're grouchy.
They're grouchy and they're just not there. They're very flighty.
Yeah. But so that's the point though, is it's not about trying to find, cut your abs workout or bodybuilder workout or summer body work, or whatever. It's just, what does my body respond to when I feed it this or do this activity? Does it, like I have the best workouts, like we talked about, high intensity, blah, blah, blah. And it's all the very opposite of what I originally went into it. I had to do a complete 180. But one thing I wanted to throw out though, too, just when you're talking about the BMI stuff, that is interesting and to show how outdated it is, right? So we all know how modern and fast paced and quick to change the government is, right? So, in the Marine Corps.
Are you joking?
Yes, I'm very joking.
Okay, just wanted to make sure.
It's like trying to turn a freaking cruise ship on a dime. Like it just takes so long to change anything. So in the military, in the Marine Corps, right, we have height and weight standards. You are this many inches tall. You are allowed to be this many pounds. That's it. And if you go.
And how many times a year do you check that? Twice?
At least. It depends. If you go out of those standards, you get checked pretty regularly. But so that's the point though. So for me, I'm almost out of my standard just because I am just an inch or two short or kind of thing. Just that 1 inch shaves like 7 pounds off what I'm allowed to have. And it's like, wait, are you kidding me? And I used to be fine, but then the last year or so, I think I've added a lot of good, like dense interior muscle and things like that. So I've gained about 5 to 8 pounds. Well, now I'm probably 3 to 5 pounds away from being
So
out.
the solution is just grow an inch taller, Derek.
I guess. But it's just interesting to see how they are starting to change now, because they implemented, the first change was, okay, when we do our physical and combat fitness tests, if you score high enough, but you are still, poundage is higher than what your height allows for. If you score high enough on our physical tests, you don't have to worry about it. You're good, because they recognize that you can still perform what we need. And it's a high score though. So it's basically, it's like, there's no like wiggle room. Cause we had a guy in our unit who, the dude was like the Mountain from Game of Thrones, just this massive guy. Cause he wanted to be an Olympic bodybuilder. Like I'm not like, his thigh was like my whole body. Like he was just this insane, but he could still run like an 18-minute 3 miles. He could do like 40 pull-ups. Like the dude was, but he's huge and he's heavy because he is just this ball of muscle. That's the thing, is
I want him on my team.
But he was in the Marine Corps. He's out now. While he was in, it was before all these changes. So every couple of months he'd have to go in and they'd have to pull out measuring tape and measure him, because that's the backup. It's, well, you weigh too much for how tall you are. So we have to like measure your neck and measure your all over. And it was like really, this guy could like outperform anybody here times 10. And we're checking to see if he's in shape enough to be in the Marine Corps. Like, are you kidding me? Like, this is who we want. So it is just to illustrate how outdated it is. And if the government is starting to change its way it looks at how it measures your fitness and whether we care how tall you are compared to how much you weigh, like, then maybe you should, or maybe you're way behind. Like it's old, it's outdated. It doesn't matter. It's more about, can you perform the tasks you need to or want to perform? So if you're like, I want to take the stairs at work, and you're winded at the top, you're probably out of shape a little bit, right?
Out of shape for cardio. But then,
Sure.
So like for me, there are a lot of people out there that can walk up a flight of stairs and still be winded, but then they could go lift a desk.
Exactly. And that's not balanced.
Right. But at the same time, it's like, but which out of shape are you?
Yeah.
You're not. So stop saying out of shape. Stop using it as an excuse. Just like every other advice we give at the end of an episode, find what's sustainable for you. You may be different than Derek or I. But if you're interested in what we do because it kind of strikes an interest for you or a light bulb moment, feel free to DM us, reach out to us.
Yeah.
We're always super willing to talk about our programs. If you're in Salt Lake, I'm super happy to train you and help you kind of find your direction and then send you on your way to go do it. So yeah, hit me up for personal training if you want, or habits is always a great option too.
I always need a workout partner.
Yeah. Derek loves having workout partners.
Just don't talk too much.
Just
We're there
make sure you have your own headphones in and you just kind of look like you're following him around.
Yeah.
And it's really cute.
If you're there to chit chat. No.
But no, just remember that sustainability is our goal. If one thing we didn't talk about, and on the topic of sustainability, is bikini body competitions or physique competitions, is that these people don't look this way year round. You know, they really don't. And if they do, then that's probably what they do for their job.
Mhm.
So just keep that in mind, is that these really, really lean, like less than 10% body fat, really, really high muscle mass, they are doing that because of something. This was their end result, and they will look different in 3 weeks. They will look different in 6 months.
Oh yeah. There's one of the personal trainers at the gym I go to. There was like a picture of her up for a while at one of these competitions, and yeah, incredible competition. I don't know if she placed or whatever, but just looks like a normal person now, normal in shape personal trainer now.
Yeah.
Totally.
So just keep that in mind. It's like girls, when you're trying to grow your hair out and you see someone who has never cut their hair since they were 5 and they have long, beautiful hair. And it's like, oh, I need to get that in 3 weeks because I want long hair.
Or even a year. It's like you said, they haven't cut it for probably 10, 15 years.
So it just grows. But anyway, so just remember that what they're doing and looking the way they want to isn't even sustainable for them. They have an end goal. And after that end goal happens, they are eating whatever the heck they want. They're hitting the workout that they've been dying to do during their prep, but they just couldn't because their program didn't allow it. So just use a fine tooth comb, be a great consumer as you look around and see what's around you and what information is offered to you, and reach out if you have any questions. I love you. Derek, do you have anything to say?
No, I just agree with everything you've said so far.
Because I'm amazing.
You are amazing.
You're right.
It's a personal journey. It is trial and error. And that is how I got where I am today. Not that I'm like this poster child or anything, but just that I'm glad with where I'm at today because I went through the trial and error of just trying everything seriously but you have to give enough times. You have to give those things enough time to actually work. So I tried high intensity cardio stuff, maybe for a week or two, and then realized it was really hard and went back to my comfortable weightlifting.
Were you out of shape for
that?
Cardio?
Yeah, definitely. So you have to find your thing, find what works for you, find what is sustainable, and put in the work though, and give it time to work. I would say a minimum of try something for like 3 months, and that's going to the gym 2 to 3 times a week. It takes so much more time than you think it does because it's worth it when you get to the end. When you get to that point, like where I am, I'm so glad that I was able to just try new things and say, you know what? Like I got to go to morning workouts, and yes, I have to run in the morning. These are the last 2 things in the world I want to do right now, but I see results, and then I see the results and I say, oh, I'm so glad I'm doing this. So that's it.
What if someone does try it for 3 months though, and then they're frustrated because the thing that they just tried for 3 months probably isn't working for them?
Cool. That's one thing you can cross off the list. How many times did Edison try with the light bulb? Wasn't it like 1,000 times?
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's the point. It's not, I tried something and it doesn't work for me. Cool. But there are lots of other things. Now you are that much closer to finding which will work.
It's like dating.
Sure.
Kind of.
You just trying to, and who knows, it may be the next thing that you find that is like the key, that what clicks for you. Say, this is it. It took forever for me because I was stubborn and inflexible and I didn't want to admit things. You know what I mean? Like I'm the bad example of it taking forever.
You really?
No, I'm not. So I would just be flexible and be open-minded and realize that it's just a journey and have fun along the way. And so if you're a person I think a lot of women out there are very anti weightlifting, go try weightlifting, get into it, find a bro.
Women try.
It's
awesome.
It has great results, but I'm just saying, and just because you say, well, I'm trying weightlifting to see if my body likes that, cool. Go do it for 3 months. You'll probably gain a little muscle mass, lose a little bit of fat. It might not be your thing though, that really clicks for you. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
But also from a health perspective, women, we need to be lifting weights and using our big muscles to lift things. You don't have to be a bodybuilder and work all the little things, but in every workout or in your program, you need to be lifting something with multiple points in your body because our bone density starts to fall and fail us when we turn like around 30, but for sure after that. So if you don't want your brittle bones, you have to make sure that they're being loaded and they're getting stronger too.
Right.
And supported. So that I'll get off my soapbox for that. I feel like this has been a very informational filled scientific. This is
it's
like
good,
all of Hannah's I don't know. I'm back in my school mode. I'm like, okay.
That's cool.
Learning.
I think a lot of people don't know this kind of stuff. They don't realize that BMI. I didn't know it was for diseases. I thought it was just a weird measurement thing. So yeah, I learned.
Good. Well, thanks you guys so much for listening. Again, this is the Wealthy Podcast. I'm Hannah.
And this is Derek.
Derek, where can everybody find you?
Social media would just be at Derek Spohn for everything. So DerekSpohn, Instagram, Twitter, whatever.
Awesome. And then you can find me at Health by Hannah on Instagram, and that'll get you linked everywhere else. My website is also www.healthxhannah.com. That's where you can look at my personal training prices or maybe even purchase habits if you're interested. Go check that out. It's not just about workouts for the habits program. It's a lifestyle changing guide. So keep that in mind. You can also connect to the podcast at Wealthy Podcast on Instagram, Twitter. We have an email. Just get us on social and then we can go from there. But as always, you can always reach out if you have any questions, comments, concerns.
We're here to help.
We're here to help and we're here to love you. Just remember, you got to kiss a lot of frogs to find what works for you. And this is what this podcast is for. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure to tell a friend and rate, review, or subscribe if you have time and the interest. Love you so much. We appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Smile more when I see you.